What's up guys, Hardcore Horror Nerd here. Today I'm going to be showing you my Halloween franchise collection. As I have said in previous videos, and if you follow me on Instagram you already know, that the original Halloween is my favorite movie of all time, and I just love the franchise. Now I know not every installment in the franchise is great, like Resurrection and Curse of Michael Myers, but it's still a good franchise, and it's one watch that I have to watch at least once a year. I have anything from Blu-ray, VHS, and DVD. There's actually a lot here. I'll show you a little glimpse. So, here's all my collection. I have multiple copies of some. As I said earlier, I have multiple copies of the original Halloween. That's probably the most copies I have. Alright. So let's get started with this top one, which is Halloween 25 Years of Terror. It is a great documentary on the franchise. The narrator is PJ Soles, who plays Linda in the original, and I love PJ Soles. Oh my god, she's so amazing. This is my favorite documentary about the entire franchise. It really creates a good overview of what the franchise has grown into and the hopes for its future. I actually learned most of my interesting little Halloween facts from this documentary. Other ones I've learned from other documentaries, and I just like to study the film the more and more I watch it so I can learn more and more interesting facts. If you haven't seen this, I suggest you check it out, especially if you love the original and if you love the franchise. Next is two VHS copies of, I think, three. The original Halloween. This one is just your regular standard VHS, and this one's actually a collector's version with it's restored, and it's a full frame version. I don't think I've actually watched these two copies yet. I know I've watched a few others, but I don't think I've actually watched these two. And my hopes is by the end of this year I have watched all the Halloween franchise on all the formats that I have, no matter how many times I watch this movie alone. Again, favorite movie, love this franchise. Next, I have the Anchor Bay clamshell. As in my first video, I just picked this up within the last 4 weeks or so. It's a really cool clamshell. I love it. Really nice collector's piece. Really solid clamshell. Glad I got a really good, good looking clamshell from eBay. Thanks whoever sold me that. Next is the Halloween 35th Anniversary Edition Blu-ray. This is the American release of the Blu-ray, the Digibook. Inside is a little booklet about a little bit of things, like a story on Halloween, how it's culturally impacted people. Pretty cool looking disc. Just sit right here. This is the problem with this one though, is that right there is totally a misquote from the film. Here, I'll zoom in so you can see it better. And if you can't see it, it is, was it the boogeyman? And that's not the line. I think the line was, it was the boogeyman. Correct me if I'm wrong. I know I'm wrong, maybe. So if any of you Halloween fans, I know I'm a big fan, but if you Halloween fans out there want to correct me, go ahead, I don't mind. Next up is, I've shown this one before, I know, is the 35th Anniversary Steelbook UK release. Again, I've shown this before in my last video. Nice, that booklet that was in the American version is just its own little booklet here. A nice, beautiful steel case. I love steel cases. Right here is the 20th Anniversary Anchor Bay Double VHS Clamshell. It's a limited edition. I have number, I can't really read numbers, so I'm just going to read it, 35485 out of 40000. Math whizzes can tell me what it is. I suck at math and I suck at numbers. As I told you in my previous videos, I love colored clamshells. Colored VHS tapes. So this is cassette number 1, which is the movie on VHS. Awesome orange case. Orange cassette. Love it. Beautiful. I don't think I will ever play this in my VHS player because I'm always scared that if I do, it'll be like the one time I have a freak accident and it screws up my tape. So this just sits on my shelf collecting dust, but still looking pretty as hell. And then this is cassette number 2, which is all the special features, which has the Halloween Unmasked featurette, including 1998 interviews with Nick Castle, Deborah Hill, Mustafa Akkad, and Jamie Lee Curtis. The network TV spots. The network scenes that ABC required that they have in order to fill in the time gap in the 80s. The TV spots, the theatrical trailers, a radio spot, a still gallery, and that's it. Really love this clamshell. It's amazing. Just beautiful clamshell, beautiful tapes. I was really happy when I bought this. It was one I was looking for, and I couldn't find it for more than 50 bucks. And I actually ended up finding this one for about 20 bucks on eBay with free shipping. So I knew I had to snag it right away. Again, probably my favorite in the collection altogether. Next is the Halloween 30th anniversary 30th anniversary commemorative set. Again, it's a limited number, and it's limited. It's number 17458 of 20000. It's 6 discs, and it includes Halloween on DVD, Halloween on Blu-ray, Halloween the extended cut, which is, if you haven't seen the extended cut, it's just Halloween with the added TV scenes that ABC required them to film in the 80s in order to fill their 2-hour gap. It's actually a really fun version to watch because it kind of makes sense to be in there, and I'm glad they made them do it because I kind of like watching that version a tiny bit more than the original, but the original version is still beautiful. It also includes the 25 Years of Terror documentary on DVD. It includes Halloween 4 and Halloween 5 on DVD, and it has this really cool small mask of Michael Myers. It's a really cool set. Really glad I was able to grab that for pretty cheap. Next up is Halloween 2, the Scream Factory edition. I bought this at Target last year. It was my first in my whole entire movie collection, and from there I just kept adding. Really cool collector's piece. Really love this artwork, and I also love the fact that with Shout Factory artwork, you get, here, I'll take out the disc so you can see. Yeah, this version includes theatrical version and TV version. But with this, you get the original artwork, the non-artist artwork in the DVD case. So it's reversible with that whichever artwork you want to show off. I know certain people have actually taken their artwork out of these cases, cut them on the spine, and framed them, and that's a really cool idea, and I've been thinking about doing that for a while. Next up is Halloween 2 on VHS. I bought this as a lot on eBay for about, I don't know, 20 bucks, I guess, with free shipping, I think. The lot came with Halloween 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Curse of Michael Myers, and H20. Now, the only movies of this entire franchise that I don't have in my collection that I really do need to add, and I kind of want to add one of them on VHS if I can, is Halloween Resurrection. I want to add that to VHS, and the 2 Rob Zombie versions. Now, they aren't my favorite, but I'll watch them because, I don't know, there's something about them that takes me back to them. Maybe it's because I don't like them and I like yelling at it about how bad they are, but again, if they're your favorite, kudos to you, no disrespect to you, but I don't like them. Next is Halloween 3. Now, I know a lot of people do not like this one because Michael Myers is in it. What I have to say to that is just watch the movie, please. Don't knock it before you try it. It is a great standalone film. I believe it was Tommy Lee Wallace in Halloween, the 25 Years of Terror documentary, who said Halloween 3 should have been released as Season of the Witch. It shouldn't have been released as Halloween 3 because people are going to be expecting Michael Myers, and when Michael Myers wasn't in it, then that's when people got upset. And I 100% agree with him. Yes, it should have been released as a standalone film called Season of the Witch as a sci-fi movie. It's a great movie, probably my third favorite in the franchise. Tom Atkins is amazing in it. I really like the storyline. It's really interesting, and like I said, get over the fact that Michael Myers isn't in it because I think you will enjoy it. Next up is Halloween 4 on VHS. Many of you know this is Danielle Harris's first movie. She's a really great young actress. Danielle Harris has also blossomed into a beautiful actress, amazing at everything she does. I actually kind of like this one more than 5, because 5 got a little weird for me, but this one's definitely in my top favorite of the franchise. It's hard to rank my favorites of the franchise. Like, I know which ones I definitely like first, and I know which ones I definitely do not like the most, but this one will be top 5 mostly. Next up is Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers. Again, VHS copy, sequel to Halloween 4. Second time Danielle Harris has been in the franchise. Really good, although the mask does bother me in it a lot, actually. Again, I love this. I love watching this movie. I have to at least watch it once a year. It's my favorite franchise, so I try to watch the franchise at least once a year. I usually try to do it during the month of October. Next up is, oh god, Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers on VHS. Paul Rudd's first film. Terrible storyline, terrible acting, terrible everything. I will cherish this film though because it is Donald Pleasance's last appearance in the Halloween franchise. He ended up dying after making this film, and it was really sad to see him go and leave the franchise. He was a great talent. He will always be a great talent. But just this film was terrible in my opinion. Although I will watch it, it is still terrible. Hated the storyline of them killing Danielle Harris's character off and not having Danielle Harris do it. In fact, Danielle Harris, if you've seen the Halloween 25 Years of Terror, she actually didn't like that either. The fact that she wasn't in the film, because she was old enough to be in the film as like an adult version of Jamie Lloyd. And she was kind of upset that they didn't cast her. But I'm kind of glad she stayed away from this film because, again, it's a terrible film. Probably one of the worst in the franchise. Oh, excuse me. Next up, and my final 2 of the franchise, are Halloween Age 20. Now, if you saw my top 10 slasher film video, you know this is in my top 10 of slashers. And the reason is this movie was my first horror movie and my first slasher movie. Watched it back in 2006. I loved it. It's a really interesting storyline, and I do like how it's a direct sequel from John Carpenter's Halloween 2. Glad to see Jamie Lee Curtis return to the franchise. And what I really like is I actually like watching these when Sci-Fi plays it on their channel more than anything, because their censors are amazing. Like, there's a line where LL Cool J's character says, "You scare the shit out of me," and on the Sci-Fi version he goes, "Lickety snot, you scared the snot out of me," and it was like really funny. I love watching movies that are on TV just to see how they censor it. Again, one of my top 10 slasher films because it was my first Halloween franchise movie. Really did like that Jamie Lee Curtis came back, and you know, that's all my actual physical copies of Halloween, the franchise. What I will say about Resurrection is it's not the best. It's probably the second worst in the franchise next to Resurrection, but it is a guilty pleasure of mine to watch. And as much as I didn't like Jamie Lee Curtis leaving the franchise, it was again sad for me to watch her leave. I do understand why she wanted to leave, and I respect her for it. And you already know my opinions on Halloween 1 and Halloween 2 by Rob Zombie. Now I know my collection isn't the best. It I love it. I'm proud of my collection. I'm adding more and more as much as I can. So I will give a shout out to Scarlet Jupiter on Instagram. I'll link her Instagram name on the description down below. She has one of my favorite franchise collections. She has a bunch of like Japanese variants. She has the Anchor Bay orange clamshell. I mean orange tape clamshell. Again, if you're on Instagram and you love horror, follow Scarlet Jupiter. She has a great, amazing collection. Also, I wanted to shout out to two other of my favorite horror follows on Instagram, which are The Horror Junkie and Gore is Good. I'll link all three of their names down there. Gore is Good focuses on, exploitation and gore films, and The Horror Junkie, she really just shows you what she's watching. She's a really sweet girl, and Gore is Good is a really awesome, fucking awesome dude. He loves to talk horror. So yeah, check him out. Gonna be posting a video on Monday. Don't know the idea yet. Hopefully I'll come up with one. And as always, you can follow me on Instagram at Hardcore Horror Nerd, and like me on Facebook at Horror Affair. Hail horror. Happy Valentine's Day.